is now 10:03, and I'll call this meeting to order. You just get the invitations already? Oh, you will? Mr. Rice? That's it?
Good morning. We just want to come before you, Heavenly Father, to thank you for your goodness, for this beautiful day, Father, for the gathering and an opportunity to make a difference in our community. We pray, Father, that you would speak to us, impart to us wisdom and understanding, Father, as we make decisions. Thank you for everyone that is represented here with all the entities. Thank you for our board chair. We pray, Father, for good physical health, Father, for everyone. We thank you. We give you glory this morning, and we look forward to positive changes. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee in Texas, one state under God, one nation. Thank you. On the roll call.
Yes, sir. Kevin Kishnick.
Here.
Devin Baca.
Here.
Susie Sullivan. Here. Ed Bennett.
Here.
Caitlin. Yeah. John Smith. John Cutt.
Here.
Ian.
Sorry, guys. We heard. I thought
Here.
Gabriella. Yes. James McGill.
Here.
Deborah Mooding, interim chief of police. Here. Isabella Attorney.
Here.
And Terry Hall. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. This meeting of the Board of Directors of the Oasis County Appraisal District will be called to order and let the record show that the board members are present, that the meeting has been duly called, that notice this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Government Code 551, and that any conflict of interest affidavits have been placed on file at the board. Do we have any comment?
No, sir.
No public comment? Next item will be discussion and or action to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes for the May 15th, 2025 regular meeting, approval of the May 2025 works minutes, and receipt of the 2025 litigation report. Do we have any questions from any of the board members on those three items? If not, I'd like to make a motion to the consent agenda.
Motion so made.
Motion made by Gabby. Second. Second by Devin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And next we have the taxpayer liaison officer's report. Is it yours?
Good morning, everyone. Again, in my report, no comments, suggestions, or complaints, more or less. I have completed my required TLO training and submitted my certificate to Irene. I think I sent it. Just so you know, I did it because it's required. That's interesting. Anyway, the ARB is currently running 4 panels, and next week they start running 5 panels. They've been pretty busy over the last week or two, so they are going to need the 5 panels. And the appraisers, I just want to say, God bless the appraisers. They have been working very hard on meeting with people informally, settling. Really, it's made the ARB's job much easier this year, but the appraisers do an awesome job, as always. I had submitted, there are 5 openings right now in the ARB. We advertised, but only received 3 applications, and I submitted those to you for appointment, and I know that's on the agenda later in the meeting. They've all passed, I'm assuming, the background checks. I wasn't told otherwise. So I'm assuming they all passed the background checks, and they're all ready and willing to be appointed. So that'll come later in the meeting. I also gave you my notice of my letter of resignation effective December 31st. I know y'all are busy as a board, and I wanted to give you ample time to decide what qualifications you're looking for and advertise and interview and do what you're going to do to find that new TLO, and that person, whoever it may be, time to do the trainings and become familiar with how things go. And I'm going to miss it terribly. I really do love what I do, but it's time to just, spend more time with my husband and my kids and my grandson. I'm getting old. Time to go. But anyway, I just want you to have enough time to do whatever you need to do.
Terry, we appreciate it. You've done an amazing job.
Thank you.
And,
Appreciate it.
it's a pleasure to work with.
It's hard. It took me months to make this decision and then another month to write the letter. So, it's hard because, like I said, I do love what I do and the people I work with are fabulous. So it's going to be difficult, but, I may come and watch hearings just for entertainment.
Well, thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Any questions for me?
Maybe
No?
only if you have any recommendations for for a chair, you think someone would really be qualified and for someone that we could work easily with? I mean, your opinion matters, so.
There are several people, well, two in particular, that I think would be absolutely fabulous at it, and they're both like, no, we're done.
Okay.
So Mr. Tiller was one. He would be absolutely fabulous at it, but this is his last year on the ARB as well, and so he's like me, ready to, he has cows to play with. I don't have cows, but, he's ready to just go and do his ag stuff, and Gay White would be my other recommendation, but things are still, with her husband, he's still health-wise in a very precarious position, but anyway, but if I think of anybody, I will definitely let him know. Anyway, and thank you so much I still have months to say thank you, but thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Terry. There's no action on this, so next item up will be the presentation of the 2026 proposed budget.
Hello. So we've left you guys under proposed budget. We also emailed it to you. Wanted to go through some highlights here. So this is our proposed budget for fiscal 2026, and from 2025, decreased 504,683. So our budget did go down, and our CAMA funds will be assigned in our gas fee 54, so we get that RFP going and stuff. And then we did a slight modification on the organizational chart for Director of Administration will be under the Assistant Chief Appraiser. And in page 8, we have the budget calendar, and modified it based on last meeting, where we moved it to July 17th. So that's modified, and we want to make sure everybody's aware of that so we can be all present and submit the budget and approve the budget in a timely manner by September. And on page 19, we're also employee pay and benefits. We're currently working on benefits and reducing additional costs with medical, and we've also reduced with the TCDRS. We were at 13.84%. We are going down to 12.6%. So that will decrease there for us to contribute $66,128 as well. Again, this is just our proposed budget. So.
Very good. Does anybody have questions, concerns? Probably want to take a look and absorb this over the time in next few minutes.
I just have a quick question. Sure. On page 10 of the budget, the tax unit allocation for the 2025 adopted, that doesn't split the $10,006,000. So is that number correct? The revenue sources.
On page 10?
Yeah, that the revenue sources for 2025, You have 10.9,210,078,000 coming to a total of 10 million. I just want to make sure I have the right information.
What page?
Page eight, the budget. There's 210. Yeah. It's
There's 210.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so I have another proposed fiscal 2026
Oh,
budget.
there you go. Okay. Gotcha. Let's go on.
I scanned it with a paper. The first page 10 precedes the second page 10.
Sorry.
And the third page 10. Disregard the first. Yeah. Well, you're looking at the first and this one. She's looking at this one.
Okay.
So the question was the revenue sources don't come to a total of 10 million, so I just want to make sure I understand what the actual for the budget actually is.
So for last year, the taxing units, yeah, it was 10,954,255.
Right, I'm just saying those three items total 11,242,260. The revenue sources for 2025. Unless I'm overlooking something.
Yeah.
Total
Yeah.
only shows 10 million, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm sorry, that was,
So the total should be 11.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
sorry.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm looking at everything. Yeah, because
Yeah, that was my, sorry.
Yeah. Right.
But it's correct, yeah, it was 11.
So we'll take another shot at these next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are going to have to be submitting it to the entity. Yes. After this meeting. So can we make the correction and submit it correctly to the entity? Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we will do that.
I don't think the mics are on.
Are the mics on, Daniel?
Are you hearing us? I don't think
They're on, the balance is a little bit weird.
Okay.
I'm gonna...
Okay, so we will make the correction, and we will make sure it gets submitted to the entities correctly by tomorrow, as outlined here.
Yeah, it looks,
Everybody knows by June 16th, the chief appraiser has to submit the proposed budget to the taxing entity, so that we're going to make the correction and submit it as corrected, so that we're in line with the statutory deadline.
and also as a reminder,
Yeah.
this is proposed, so this is not written in stone, it's just the proposed, and there is time to make changes between now and July 7th.
Well, the proposed is right, but she's right on the 2025.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it's not
Yeah.
picking up the
Yeah.
calculations from some box on there, so, but, yeah, you have to.
We'll definitely check it and double check it, and
Yeah.
make sure the staging and everything is correct.
I will update that.
Any questions, concerns? We don't need to, do we need to vote on this?
No, it's just a presentation.
Okay, so take, all right. So, with that, we will move on to number 9, discussion regarding district parking.
Yes. So district parking, we have, bringing you up to date on district parking, we have our fleet now parked in the back of the buildings, which is at the corner of John Sartain and McKee. We have a total of 24 vehicles back there, all identified as the vehicles. We have acquired 20 additional spaces from the Education Service Center for our employees to all have their assigned parking at the Education Service Center parking lot, which is in front of the Corpus Christi Police Department, which will leave the side parking lot between the Camden CC building, or also known as the old JCPenney building, and the New Mexico County Appraisal District building. That parking lot will be free and clear for no one except taxpayers and board of directors and or ARB members accordingly. So ARB, yes, members. So I did, effective June 1st, we are no longer paying Mr. Marino Delasso for Mamma Mia $1,600 per month. That was amicably care of. An in-person meeting with him, we left everything on board, all the facts and details. He asked questions, we answered, everything was good. I didn't let him leave before actually trying to ask if he's willing to sell this grassy area. He started out with an offer of $1.4 million for the grass area. Then he stated that he would. Okay, so maybe I can share the details with you one-on-one if you're interested. Nothing's amicably, and he's fine. So that is our parking situation. Does anyone have any questions about our parking?
Is there a new
Can you just tell us where y'all left it?
Well, we didn't agree to an amount,
Okay.
so he was still kind of high for our budget. So, but he is willing to.
How much space is it that you were talking
It was
about?
150 by 100 square feet. So it would have only been able to handle our fleet, but without security and other things. So it really wasn't a good fit. Any questions?
Okay, that was presentation only, so we'll move on to item number 10, discussion regarding the proposal plan.
Yes. And so the reappraisal plan, we had talked about it at the last meeting. I believe Mr. Cudd had a question on possibly going reappraisal once every 3 years. And so we talked about it. We actually do already reappraise properties once every 3 years. What actually potentially changes that is that we have annual permits that get issued, which can cause someone that's been in a reappraisal every 3 years to possibly have something come up that it would be looked at in the second year or, the first year.
You're referring to like building permits?
Yes, building permits. Building permits, and then, of course, market activity. Because of the PVS that we have every 2 years with the comptroller's office, we're required to look and review and analyze market data every year. So that could also potentially affect that one every 3rd year cycle that we're in. So overall, we do the once every 3 years in place, but sometimes if that were change or if someone sees that, no, mine's been looked at every year, they either live in a high market area or a lot of activity going on in their area.
And you would present the market data to the person protesting taxes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So they have answers?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They can test anytime they have a question. Every year it's the same process, and they're able to come and file a protest by May the 15th and get their answers by anyone appraiser servicing their protest.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Any other questions, Mr. Cook?
Can I
Anybody
make
else?
a short comment? It's a compliment to all the appraisers and to Deborah. I got 4 calls that somehow the protest, the way they were handled, were really smooth. I think
Really
one
well.
of the other people that we all know might have called me too, but I got 4, which impressive. But they were just like, we wanted to tell you some worked really well in terms that they didn't have to go to more than one appraiser, which is a big difference for people that show, and that they actually discussed their numbers and knew what they were talking about up front. So I don't know who it was on your side, but I got compliments for you. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Here. Any other comments, questions? All right, then moving right along. Discussion regarding the Eagle Beam track for aerial imaging photometry.
Okay, so that was also something that was brought up in the last meeting. I went ahead and went over the minutes from the meeting date September the 18th of 24 with Mr. Cudd, where it was actually gone out for bid and we met the statutory requirements. And Mr. Mr. Cudd didn't have any other questions, so I think we're okay with that aerial
Want to make
imagery.
sure it's all up front.
Yes, sir.
So just want to clarify, it's a 6-year contract that was entered into.
Okay, good.
And it was all approved by those minutes.
Yes.
All right, and then, moving on, do we have any other questions or comments regarding that? All right, moving right along, discussion or action related to the selection of electricity provider, authorizing the interim chief appraiser to enter into an agreement.
Good morning, Chairman, board members. I'm still old school, so I'll hand out these graphs and pass them around. I think since deregulation started, everybody became familiar with energy, whether they liked it or not. And when you weren't paying attention, your bill doubled at home, you realized something's happening out there. So I want to give you some background. I'm Marco Arredondo. I'm a professional engineer. I worked with AEP 15 years, and then when I saw deregulation coming, I felt somebody needed to be the liaison between customers and this new world of deregulation that nobody really knew what was going on. And so I started deregulation when I got out in 2001. When deregulation hit, all the refineries were paying about 3.2 cents per kilowatt hour. They were the largest loads in the AP system, and they operated 24 hours a day. So when I saw these proposals come out from the retail providers at 3.9 cents, and they were willing to give you out a 5-year contract, and at that time, if you were a normal, you're paying 9 cents or 10 cents per hour. So I started getting with a lot of industrial customers, government entities, that, you know what, we need to do 5-year contract. Explained to them what's going on, and they said, man, we're going to get that big a break. Well, anytime somebody cuts you in half, you don't have to do long as it's legal. You know, and I do carry $1 million. You know, we're good at what we do. And I got this. The first graph I put out there for you, and I'll tell you that hindsight is 20/20. And I think I got lucky because when we started in 2001, we signed 5-year contract. Well, that took us almost all the way to 2006. And if you look at the big blue spikes there, that's natural gas. Natural gas back then supplied 80% of the energy for all the power plants. So basically, if you're getting gas for about $4 per MCF or MMBTU, you could get energy for $4 per MMBTU. You know, it's amazing how it translates from dollars per MCF to cents per kilowatt hour, but it worked out. Just trust me on that. And so it's easier to print out this graph than the energy graph because we were tracking the energy, and that worked out real well. And I'll tell you where we started with you all in 2008. Eloy was the chairman. Ollie was your chief appraiser, and Eloy owns properties out there, and he saw me and he said, Marco, you need to come to the appraisal district. And I said, oh, first he told me, you need to come help me. And I said, who? Because if you all knew Eloy, he was in so many different things. I didn't know what organization he was talking about. And he goes, you need to come to the appraisal district. And I said, I don't know anybody there. We need your help. So we came in, and you were on a variable rate because you all do mortgages. You know, you're familiar with mortgages. So when I came on here, you were on a variable rate back in 2007. So the first thing I don't like anything variable when it comes to energy because everybody knew in the freeze, some people got some $1 million bills, some $600,000 bills. So we fixed it to 7.8 for about 2 years. And that's where you started when I came in with you guys. I said, okay, let's just stop the bleeding. Let's guarantee your budget. Let's see what we can do because I'm used to doing that with government entities. So we did that, and then come here a couple of years after that, we dropped it down to about 5.7. Okay, so now we saved, you use $1 million a year, every penny is about $10,000 per year on your budget. So when we dropped it down 2 pennies, we saved you about $20,000 per year from your budget. So we did that all the way through about 2018. We're riding this wave at 5.7. We're timing the market right when gas was down. And gas was down about 29% of the time below $3 per MCF. About the rest of the time it was above it. So you kind of have to look at the market and say, when am I going to buy? It's like buying a commodity, stock market. How long will the REPs give me to take advantage of this market? It's like buying, and how long can you ride it? So we went to 2018. So in that period, we saved about $200,000 over those 10 years from your initial budget. So we did good, and I like like stock market, right? Are we making you money or are we losing you money? And so then here comes right at 2018 when the gas market dropped down, we bought another 5 years at 4.4 cents. So we actually got you another $10,000 a year, saved beyond the 20. So now the total come to 2023, now dealing with Elias. So when we're looking at these numbers, we're $400,000. By the time 23 comes here, because we're saying, okay, have we won, have we lost, right? Just like brokers or traders at Wall Street. So here 2025, and we said energy started to go back. Nobody knew what was going to happen. We had gone through the freeze. Remember the freeze? I mean, it just annihilated. All of a sudden, the gas market no longer really tied to the energy market. So we saw that we could get like 5.4, and the rate was 5 cents for 2 years. 5.8, we went out 5 in 2023. Well, if I'm giving you a real report, we should have gone out 5 years, but we thought the energy market was going back down. We said, oh, this is just free stuff. We think it's going to sell. What we didn't account was for California and Bitcoin and everybody else that just came into Texas and gobbled up all our 30% reserve, and now we're down to about 20% reserve, and we're struggling to keep with that. Nobody's building a plant. So we feel the whole industry is that energy price is going to continue to rise until we build more base load fossil fuel plants. Because we got green, we got battery storage, we got wind, we got solar. It's temporary. It's only when things are right. When they don't work, we're not going to turn off our power. And so at this point, we're trying, and if you notice the state, billions of dollars for somebody to build a base load power plant. The problem is that all the guys that are base load, every day they have to bid how much they want to get for their energy. And the lowest bidder of the power plant gets the energy, and unless it goes above what he predicts, if he bids 3.4 cents, all he's going to get. But if it goes up 1 kilowatt hour beyond that, and the next guy bid $5, then he gets $5, and the next guy gets $5. So base load guys have to bid in every day. The solar and the wind, we buy it by law at whatever they're selling it. So if they're selling it 10 or 12 cents, so if I'm an independent power producer and I've got rebates and funding from the government, well, I'm going to build what I'm guaranteed to sell every day. So we kind of got a little bit out of control with wind and solar. And so I'm glad that we're going back to, I'm going to say it's back when I graduated from college in 1981, I felt like Europe that we were on 100% nuclear. We did not. You notice now we're looking at doing little nuclear reactors even at site. So I'm glad we're going to go that way, because if not, we're not going to be able to afford energy. All right. I'm glad that the energy for you guys, government entities, private industry, even if you got hotels or something, unless you got really good financials, they're not going to give you beyond the 5-year contract. But government entities such as yours, cities, counties, over the last 5 months, I've been signing 9 to 10-year contracts. And so something's happened nobody tell me about, because your quotes right now, and that's why I'm telling you, I think Eli and I, he's real good. We debate over what we should do, how much term, every penny. And the last time, and I was telling Ms. Morin, yes, we should have gone 5 years. We couldn't see it coming. But that to me, because not 6.5, was a $10,000 a year mistake that we could have saved for the next 3 years if we'd have had a 5-year contract. But if we'd have waited 5 years to renew your contract, who knows where energy might have been in 3 years, unless I came to you today and say, the sky is falling. And if you're comfortable, you may not react the way I feel you should react today. As of 2 weeks ago, I had Shell, which is your current supplier, giving you up to a 10-year contract, right, at 6.5 cents. I'm recommending that we go out as far as we can, because we need to build power plants. We need to stabilize your budget. We're going to give back $150,000 or $400,000 that we already saved, so we're still ahead. Your budget's going up. In the big scheme of things, you're okay for what you saved. But Shell yesterday called me and said, we're pulling the 10-year. So why are you pulling the 10-year? The difference between 9 and 10 is so far out. They said, if you want a 10-year contract for your customer, it might take 2 to 4 weeks approval. Well, your contract starts at the end of the month, so we don't have that kind of time. But 9 years is still plenty of time. But that's how much, like the traders, I'm trying to keep track of what's going on there. and not everybody's saying, because they're buying this power from a power plant, and why won't they go out to 10 years? What's happening out there in year 10? I don't know yet. I'll find out someday. My job right now today is to do a recommendation to you, and I know now we're going over this, and you're asking me all questions, and I'm saying I think, and we with every city, county, have gone out in 9 or 10 years, because we need to secure our budget, and right now we don't have anything happen in the next 5 years. So if we do it 3 years, and we come back, might be in this, like we were back in 2008 when it went up to 14 cents per kilowatt hour, 11 cents. We don't want to be there. That's just, it's just too much money for you to absorb in one hit. You're a government taxing entity, and I think that's what you should do. I printed the second graph that had the current market. Gas is going back up to $5 per MCF. I quit doing the old graph because they don't really correlate anymore. But anybody paying the gas, it's going up. Questions? That was a lot of information.
Okay, yeah, it was, but you probably should have the information on this. Low carbon data centers for the AI. My understanding, there's probably going to be close to 12 other power sources built here in the next 3 to 5 years. What's that going to affect?
You got to look at the permitting process that goes through that, through the state, and it usually takes 3 to 5 years. And so even though it's on the board, I was at a CenterPoint meeting here weeks ago, because I have large customers in Houston, industrial customers saying they own their own substation, saying what's happening. So I'm glad I got invited to go with CenterPoint. They're looking at trying to control your peak with battery storage systems, and when they put the big graphs up there, because they utility, and of course you're everybody's customers, and they said, oh, we're putting so many gigawatts of storage, and I didn't want to upset everybody, so right after the meeting I said, storage is only good for what, 4 hours? I said, that's not going to serve anybody. He goes, yeah, we're in trouble. I didn't really want to just scare everybody out the door. But what they're trying to do in Texas is, like you said, AI centers that are coming in, we really don't have the load to serve them, but we're almost requiring that they come in with their own battery, nuclear reactor, or their own self-generation. So it's not going to affect prices. It's just going to keep us from having another blackout.
Okay, and they are, because I know of a dozen that have been permitted. There's
Yes.
literally construction's being
Yeah.
happening on them.
And they're serving their own load.
That's correct.
But not anything for the rest of the general population.
Will it pull resources from the average person, though? Or do you know? I mean,
The ones that I'm working on in Houston, I want them to build additional capacity, but the problem with the current regulation is they are not buying the energy from you. They just say, we'll give you a credit for what you're using at your center, so you have excess energy. They kind of give you a credit. They're not willing to buy it. And then when they are willing to buy it, they sell it to you at 9 cents, and they're giving it a penny per kilowatt hour. Well, if I'm the owner, I'm not going to invest in a power generation plant additional to my building. It's only paying me a penny per kilowatt hour when the market is at 6.5 cents. That's ridiculous. So they're not being friendly, the retail providers. The state's going to have to do something, and they know it. It's just so political. I'm waiting for somebody to do something.
I appreciate your answer.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I have a different question that goes towards your direction too. So I think 6.5% is a good deal if we look in average, even if we have a year where it might drop or whatever. But so I would say on a savings, we are in good shape if we do this. But my question is rather 9 years. Do we know possible changes about us or the appraisal district? We're looking at a lot of legislative years there, right? So what happens if we can't fulfill the contract?
All right,
Or if the appraisal district goes away, or if it gets diminished or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
the energy contracts that I signed for my clients are fully fixed. All right, so it doesn't matter whether you double the amount of energy or go down to 1 kilowatt hour per year, it stays the same price and there's no penalty. All right, so these contracts that I'm offering you or supplying to every one of my customers is always 100% more or down to almost zero. All right, and it's perfectly transferable. If you move buildings, we'll move the contract to the other, because you're buying a commodity. We will move your energy contract to the other building. On some of these, I add delete land for cities that are sometimes 5 or 10%, but that's only if I know they're going to do something. They'll charge you a little bit more for it. So when you're talking about adding a building somewhere, if I knew it was coming, I knew when it was coming, I'd add it into the contract. But we'll deal with it when you get there. But that's a good question. I'm glad because I didn't answer it. Yes, you can go up, move, or even sell it.
Yeah, okay.
I've done that before. Somebody sells a building, we move a contract from one building to another in Houston. And they paid extra for the contract.
Yeah, no, this is great. Just look, so you're at the 786 all-in, or what is the actual all-in rate for the 9?
Yeah, when you get down to the bottom where it says the estimated total price per kilowatt is 7.8, that's where we're at today. All the other ones are 9.3 because we went up by a couple of cents. What's also happening there is that AEP charges are changing, but the AEP should not change. So when you see the 9.39, that's all included. That's everything.
So your contract is for the 9 cents?
Well, no, it's for the actual 6.5 because you can only buy
Right,
the
no, I
energy.
know the transmission charges are all that.
Yeah.
You brought up hotels earlier, that's what I do for a
Okay.
living. So yeah, we deal with this all the time.
Yeah.
And so.
And I handle a lot of hotel chains all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just be honest with you, I'm skeptical about going long-term on this.
Yeah.
It's similar to the same thing you just said, what you thought of a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Right now it's peak, and we know it too, we're doing short-term deals right around this range, so I know, and we're doing that because anticipation, but, like I said, sometimes it turns around and bites you in the butt.
We thought the election was going to get prices down, and
That's what happened.
and it didn't, all right, but because I have some schools and they're saying, just wait till elections, and we didn't lose a whole lot of money, but, you know, it wasn't what we wanted it to be. And at some point, me being skittish, conservative, being a professional, carrying $1 million, you know, like, if I tell you something wrong, I'm lying, just like your attorney said, I'm telling you this is what it's going to be, and it'll be.
How much fluctuation when you went for a shorter term, let's say like 36 months or something like that?
With no power plants in the coming in online, they're going to serve the general public. I can't even begin to guess. We could go up to 10 or 11 cents a kilowatt hour in 3 years, and I don't.
I'm talking about on this contract. If we sign it, this is for 9
Oh,
years, correct?
it's
We
still
just said 3 years.
yes, and
how would that affect that number?
well, it's 6.505, so it's a 19% savings as opposed to well, I'm not even going to say 19% increase versus 20%. So you're 1% difference. And even though it's a little cheaper, what I would tell you is I'm not worried about being a little cheaper for the 3 years. I'm worried about shooting and going out long term. And the good thing about entities like you and my cities and stuff is you're not going anywhere. You know, you're going to tax, you're going to be alive. COVID doesn't matter, freeze, you're going to be here. And so you really need, you afford to budget long term and have budget certainty. With hotels, I agree, my industrial customers, they say, you know, we're going to wait 6 more months. And said, as long as I send them my email in writing and say, okay, you told me to wait, I recommend that we go, then I'll wait because ultimately they're the client, you know.
I'm like Devin, where I think the 10 is very long. I was real involved with this too in industrial construction for 14 years, right? And we always looked at all the options. And so I see what you're saying about the long term, but 10 years is so long to know what, I mean, like you said, oh, we didn't know about California, or, I mean, with election, all this stuff, there's so much that can happen. And I would really like to see,
I mean, you could pick
other,
5, 6, you could pick
yeah,
7 years.
so,
I mean, I've given you all the terms you can
yeah.
pick a term. Just know that, for the record, I'm recommending 9.
And it can go either way. I understand that
I agree.
recommendation based off of what we know today, but for 20, 35, going all the way out for 10 years, there's so much that can go.
The real thing that I'm going to tell you, and you were in construction, he's in hotels, is that until we build new power plants, base load power plants, energy is not going to go down. There's nothing going to come and save us.
What is the lowest price you've seen?
Well, right now?
No.
In 2021, 2022, right before everything went to Hades with the freeze, I actually signed a 3.9 cent 10-year contract with Tolosa Midway, 3.9 cents through 2032, 4.2 to 2031 for Southwest Texas Junior College. So when we decided we weren't going to take a chance, we did extreme, I mean, you would love it if I had a 4.1 cent contract for you
So
through
we can
2031.
anticipate it never.
I love 2021. We have
Yeah.
3.7, 3.6.
Yeah, and if you were the right entity, they would give you a 10-year contract back then, and so we took advantage of every one, for every customer who was willing to do
We can
it.
anticipate that it will never go below that amount.
We think the new low going forward is gonna be 5.7. That's gonna be your new 3.9, unless we get a lot of nuclear in here and even then, it's gonna be a new power plant with new costs, and so the cost of energy is still gonna be higher. So we're thinking in the industry, 5.7 is gonna be our new norm. I hope not, but if you're coming off of 6.5 or 9 cents, 5 points gonna look good somewhere down the way.
My biggest concern for not going long-term is what I've been following in the state legislature and the things I've been hearing about, we've got Samsung coming on board, it's gonna suck up a lot of power. We've got a bunch of AI data farms coming in, and those take just a tremendous amount of power. And the potential for us to actually get new generation between now and the next 5-7 years. Nuclear, that's gonna take 10 years.
The permitting.
Before we can ever even think about building getting a nuclear plant back online, especially a brand new one. The red tape and regulatory issues with that are tremendous, but the on-demand power is something that is something that's going to have to come, because the wind and the solar is there when it's there. It's not. It's gone when it's not there. So
I finally accepted a solar project because they to one of my college schools, Catholic schools, they actually donated $750,000 in solar panels, and they're going to maintain them for 25 years. I had an attorney read that contract, because if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true, but it was. They're doing it, and we're building it. Be on in October, but it was donated. Yeah,
when the sun goes down, it's off.
Yeah.
When it's cloudy, it doesn't much. And they do lose their ability to produce power.
And I don't recommend solar unless they donate it.
Yeah, it's not redundant, so, I think that as long as our economy keeps going like it is, and God knows what's going to happen in the economy, I think our problem of generation are going to continue to increase.
I'm aware at the state level they're very, very much for improving the electrical grid infrastructure over the next few years, pushing harder than ever. So there could be some new technology coming out, or it could facilitate the growth of everything that is coming. So
I know it's there, but getting the plant is going to pull energy, getting those plants up and running between the EPA and between
There's
TCP.
just so much we don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years, so that's why I was thinking 10 is not the answer, because we know today, June 10th, but we can only guess about, I know where it's going. Well, we see these charts, they go up and down, and like I said, 14 years in my experience, every time we know, I mean, there's so much stuff that surprises you, like, we could have done this, or we don't know. Maybe
because it's
50%, it might not be.
And because it's a commodity,
So
you buy when it's low.
10 years.
A nuclear plant in Angleton, nuclear plant?
Talking about some nuclear plants, all right? I haven't seen anything really hit the drawing board. I worry about the permitting process. I'm glad that Gates is building one up there to try and tell people it can be done and it's safe. Yeah, I agree with him. I think it's safe. It's just trying to get somebody to invest that kind of money. Nobody wants it in their backyard. That's the problem.
That's the problem right now.
That's
All
the problem.
permits are hung up because of residents protesting. I know we're getting out of a different conversation, but the reality is nuclear is the safest. The word
And it's cleaner.
Yeah, it just scares people. The word scares people.
Yeah, and you all are, my job is to recommend you and why, and I've seen energy dwindle down from 30% reserve down to about 20% reserve, and we're being attacked so much that the state is saying if you're coming in with AI, you're going to bring in your own generation, because we can't, and I'm no longer CPL or AP, and it's hard to get rid of that hat. We just don't have the generation to support it, and the population is going to pay the price in the end, and that's why I'm just trying to hedge your bets and say, you know what, we can always blend and extend. If something happens to energy, 5 years left in the contract, and we sign another 5 years, we can always blend it down, all right? But when it goes up, you're done.
That's another option that
Yeah, all these contracts contracts have blend and extend, you know, and we can watch it if you did 5 years and try and do it, but like I tell you, already they stopped me before I came here today and said, can't offer them a 10-year contract. You can offer 9. And I know you're saying 10 because it's easy to say 10, but 9 is as far as you can authorize, you know. And now, by hearing all the comments, I think that you all should tell Maureen what you want her to do, because usually my motion would be authorize the administrator or the county judge to go up to 10 years, you know, whatever we decide between them. But if there's discussion here on what you should do, I think the motion should be what you want her to do, or give her the flexibility to go up to 9 years.
We should have a contract till we run out of water, and that way we won't have to worry about it.
Hey, thanks to the Mary Road pipeline. We got off. I was on a committee when we were trying to get that pipeline approved. Thank God, got it approved.
I'd kind of defer to Susie and Devin, because you guys are the experts. You've done more of this than certainly I have. What are your all's thoughts?
I'm kind of Susie, and no offense to you or whatnot.
Hey,
I'm just not that long-term guy,
that's fine.
on a lot of things, because 10 years is a long time. 3 years, at the most 5. 3 years I can pretty easily, things don't shift that quick. And then if we see something blending extend, the other thing is, I'll just openly say it, is that we're more and more elected people on the board, blah, blah, blah. 5 years, all of us could be gone.
Yeah.
And I don't want a board coming on and goes, why did they hamstring us with a contract? I understand before it was different. Today, we have elected people on the board now. It's different than appointees, so the composition of this organization has changed.
If you're leaning towards something just because I'm real conservative, you should do the 5-year. I can monitor the energy every year beyond the 5 years, and I can come back to this committee and say, hey, it's gone up a penny or it's gone up 2 pennies, and I think maybe you need to buy more or don't buy more, and we can have this discussion all over again. But I think you need budget security for at least, I mean, I wouldn't go below 5 years. Even private industry, 5 years.
I would be nervous to go below 5, personally.
I mean, in today's world, I think that's, yeah.
Would that be your recommendation?
So on the price, can we negotiate for a better price, because it comes quite a bit between 4 and 5?
These are the prices that are out there based on the energy market is what they see it. The actual margin that these quotes have for the retailer provider, their profit, usually about 0.2 to 0.3 cents per kilowatt, so there's not a whole lot to negotiate.
Okay.
And you're still at 2%. It's not like you saved any less, it's just a,
Deborah was asking about the time.
Are there any other electricity providers available?
these are the ones, TXU is the only one that didn't put in. They're usually higher than Shell right now. But I've been trying on a board meeting, you know, you've had a lot of things going on, but your contract with Shell, and you're with Shell, expires on the 27th of this month when the meter is read. If you're switching providers, it takes at least 10 business days to try and do the switch if we were to switch. Thankfully, Shell is still the lowest quote, right? So we can just easily transition and continue with them, but they are the lowest provider at this time. If it wasn't such a short time frame, you wouldn't have seen the names on here. I always usually put Rep 1, Rep 2, because things can happen the minute you leave a meeting. When the frame is this short, and you always have full disclosure on what we're doing here.
Are we expected to vote on this today?
Yes.
Okay, did we know this coming? Did I miss this?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did we know this gentleman was coming, this contract coming up? Did I miss out on this?
No, he actually contacted us, well, he contacted us right after our last meeting, and so we put him on immediately. I also would like to share that I sent out an email to other member CADs in the state of Texas, and we got probably about 5 responses, but 2 of them actually had this Shell Energy also. They didn't have any complaints about it.
So the contract's up then?
Right, it's coming up end of June.
Okay.
Yes.
So give us warning next time, please.
Oh,
So,
yes.
We are in transition here, so.
yeah, no, and I get it, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally get it, yeah.
I agree with you, we should have gotten notice of it earlier, but not within the circumstances it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
It was-
And no offense to you, Mark, but it's just shopping is
Yeah.
shopping, right?
I was sending an email to Elias in January, and we need to get on the board. And then on February, and all of a sudden I was getting no responses, and I'm just being very political, and I didn't know what was going on, and finally I got a response.
It's good for us to know as a board as well, so we know why.
Yeah, I document every email I send to council, say, okay, telling you, I'm warning you.
And in transition, we all know, so, yes. Elias wasn't here, so he's going to.
But prices were higher in January and February than they are right now. They dropped just a hair first.
December, they were really good.
Yes,
When we bought a
December
home
they were
in
really
December,
good.
We got 6.3, I think, on that,
Yeah.
so I mean, for a clip.
Yeah.
in January, so, yeah, like I said.
You gotta be on it.
Okay, so the motion that we're gonna need is to have a motion to select it's a two-part motion to elect, selection of the electricity provider and authorize the interim chief appraiser to enter into an agreement. So do we have a motion for anybody? Or do we have any more questions for anybody?
What time frame are we picking?
That's what the motion should be.
Yeah, so
Usually that 10 days. Oh, you're talking about.
how
what,
many years? Yes.
I guess I can make a motion.
Yeah, help me sleep at night, go 5.
I'll make a motion for our interim chief appraiser to be able to negotiate an energy contract for the length of up to 5 years.
We should.
Provider?
It's all right what he's saying, because say that all of a sudden TXU sends me a contract tomorrow or a price this afternoon, then I can go with TXU if they're lowest shelf, because things change on a dime.
Okay, so do they need to select a
No, they don't. They just have to say with the lowest provider, and she's authorized to sign it up to 5 years, for 5 years.
Okay.
Correct.
So should we do select the lowest cost provider and term for 5 years? All in favor?
Second.
Oh, I need a second. No, we got a motion by Devin, second by Susie, all in favor? Opposed, same sign? Abstain. Abstain. And John, kind of, please take note of that. And, motion carries.
Oh, we gotta do something pretty quick. Yes, ma'am. And thank you guys, because I know boards come and go. I've been here for a while. I'll be held accountable.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, item number 13, executive session. Public notice is given to the board of directors may like to go into executive session anytime during the meeting to discuss matters listed anywhere on the agenda when authorized by the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 55 of the Texas Government Code. Should the board of directors elect to go into executive session, the sections of the Open Meeting Act authorized the executive session will be publicly announced by the presiding officer. On completion of executive session, the board of directors may take such action as appropriate in the open session. A, consult with legal counsel on legal matters related to appraisal review ordinance 551.071, and B, consultation with the board attorney deliberation regarding the employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of chief appraiser and assistant chief appraiser, Texas Government Code sections 551.071 and 551.074.
Thanks for that.
And do we need to go, does anybody need a break?
We're not going to need to go into executive on our item, on A.
On
Just
A?
to be clear, yes.
Okay, so we will not need to go into executive session on A, so just on B. And at this point, we're going to executive session.
Can you call the council?
Oh, the time is 10:57.
Perfect, thank you.
Well, these are readers, so I couldn't see them even worse. 11:40, and we're now back in regular session. Moving on to, before we go ahead, there was no action during our executive session, so nothing to be done there. Item number 15, discussion or action to approve designated auxiliary appraisal review members and setting terms of office.
And again, as I said before, there are 5 openings, but only 3 applicants, so, but nonetheless, you received their applications, and everyone who resigned, Rose Lopez, Javier Gonzalez, and Ruby Benavides, their terms all ended December of this year. So I recommended appointing the new members for a 2-year term, so that their term would expire next December 2026. So they would actually have a 1.5 years, but it counts as 2 years. Otherwise, they would have to reapply in August if you made it a 1-year term, because their 1 year would actually be like a 1.5 months. So, well, actually 6 months.
Did something happen for them to resign?
Rose Lopez, actually she was one of the new appointees from this year, but she became very ill.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I was just going to make a correction. So when 6.41D of the tax code provides that a vacancy on the board is filled in the same manner for the unexpired portion of the term. So it would be, I guess, ending in 2025, not 2026. And that's statutory.
I'm not going to argue that point. Anyway, they had health reasons, and pretty much, there wasn't anything.
These guys work for a rock band.
Oh, no, not at all, not at all.
Can I ask how we post for these jobs? I know people are probably aren't going to run towards them, but 5 vacancies, we get 3. Is there any other places that you think we could post? Where did we post this one?
So we use the 3 newspapers, the Yeti, the Islander, and the Caller Times, and we also broadcast through the radio station.
So all
for 3,
free,
yeah,
free, yeah.
For
Do
3
we have anything in the budget to put something on, I don't know, Indeed or?
When we advertised for, and we did it a little bit differently this time because it was mid-season that we were advertising for these. Normally when I start advertising in August, last year Jennifer did put it on Indeed, and so that helped a little bit. It got us a little more action. It just
wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah.
I don't need, just so we can be thinking about possibly reaching more.
Yes, and it's,
I think
but-
this was very like impromptu search. That's why we did it this way. But in August, he said that.
right,
it's
in
usually
August,
like
in
a
August
need.
it's a little more
More,
intense,
yeah.
yeah. So this was kind of a
Emergency
emergency situation, yeah, it was.
Any other questions? All right, so do we have any motions? Any motion?
Should I accept all 3?
To accept all 3?
I make a motion to accept all 3.
Motion made by John Cook,
Second.
second by Susie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, and moving on. Oh, do we need to set?
Yes.
So we need to set the term too, so I'll make the motion in accordance with what Melissa stated with the tax code that these terms will be to fulfill the unexpired term,
which would end December 31st, 2025.
which will end December 31st this term. And so I need a second.
Second.
Second by John Cutt, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, I'll let them know.
All right. All right, Chief Appraiser report.
Update on the 2025 protest. As of this morning, we have 32,342 total properties protested. What we find this year, different from last year, is that more agents are actually filing the protest more so than just individual taxpayers on their own. We have 13,738 regular taxpayers that have filed the protest, so that totals up to 32,342. That's a trend, I guess, because we opened up the portal this year for everyone. Agents are taking advantage of that, and that may be also part of the reason that we're seeing a little smoother transition, because it's being done electronically. So, that's update on our protest.
As far as the total protest filings, how do they compare to last year's?
Last year around this time, I know we were already in the mid to high 30s. I think the end, we still have another run. So there was one final run going out for BPP. I think that's probably under 10,000 accounts. And we still have yet to see if any of those will protest. So those are the business personal property accounts that still have to go out. So really not certain on what we will have this year in total, but as of right now and compared to last year, I think we had close to 39,000 last year end result. So,
Thank you.
yes. Moving on to B, our financial audit to be presented in July. I spoke with Jeff Smith out of Gowland, Morales, and Smith. We have plans to begin our audit, and he is going to be slated to be here at the July 17th meeting to present. Yes. And we have an update on the auction vehicles that were approved to be auctioned several months ago, I think last year maybe. So all 8 vehicles were sold.
Good.
So what we will use those proceeds for is to replace the car that was totaled last year in a car accident. So the insurance money that we received from that car accident and the proceeds from the auction vehicles, we will not have to pay any extra for a vehicle. We're currently under negotiations with AutoNation locally to replace that vehicle. So, any questions? Okay, that's it.
Appreciate it. Moving on to 17, suggested items for next meeting.
Got a home list.
All right. Shoot.
Okay.
Let's see, he's gonna take notes, you can take notes. All right.
I'll make it quick. This was brought up a little while ago, and it's brought up when Ronnie was here, so it's no bearing on you, Ms. Ronan. We would like a list of all the contracts and when they come up, so this doesn't happen again. And when they come up, when they expire, all that stuff. The next thing is, I'm kind of curious of the RFP process for TY Ticket for that contract, where we're at on that. We already did the other one, got the Eagle View, we discussed that already. The comparison for 3 years on budget would be nice. I know we have a year, 3 years would be nice of where we're at. The budget looks great, not saying it's not, okay? And something that the 3 of us ran on is at some point, I've seen, and I'm as God-fearing as the next man, I've seen a lot of houses with a cross on it that are tax exempt under the guise of being a church. I'd like that looked into, because there's a lot of them out there that you can go by on Sunday and there's nobody there.
Like a parsonage, is that what you're referring to, or just a plain house?
No, I mean, I've seen plain houses.
Okay.
I can't say exactly where I saw it because I can't say where I saw it.
Right.
But just, you know, a quick overview of the tax exempt status for some of these places that may not even be in operation anymore, but the property sitting there not getting taxes paid on it. And let's see, what else? I think that's good enough to drag the meeting up next month.
No problem.
Anybody else have anything to add? I just want to say something I failed to mention earlier on a prior agenda item on about the budget. I appreciate you guys bringing in a budget that's actually decreased. This is the first time we've ever, in my 13 years, we've had a budget decrease to propose, so I appreciate you guys doing that.
Absolutely, I know it's important to try to save and try to be efficient, and I'll be honest with you, it takes a team to come together and just make sure that we're covering every angle on that, from legal to management, and just trying to get as efficient as we can be.
Well, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, something that we can't discuss, but I'm just curious about, some of these apartment buildings being bought.
The housing authority stuff. Is that something to be put on the agenda, or?
They're asking about the inquiry about the apartments in the CCA. Can they discuss, I think
We provided some
you
advice
provide
on
some
that.
information.
Well, we provided advice to you and to Mr. Bennett on that.
Can you share that, or
Yeah.
can we share that?
Not yet, not right now.
Yeah, we
but
can't, because it's not, if you want to speak with Melissa about it, you can, because it's not on the agenda, but feel free to talk to her about it.
It can be
About it being-
discussed.
Right.
It can, no, I'm not saying that it can be, but I'd like to discuss that offline.
Okay.
Was your question about whether or not we could put it on the agenda?
Nothing
just
to be
say
put on the
no?
agenda?
Can you put it on the
Well,
agenda?
can we put it on the agenda?
Right, that was the advice that we provided,
And
about
the
whether
answer,
or not it could be on the agenda.
so can it or can't it be?
We had recommended no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Would y'all talk to Melissa about
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
And then just a reminder that the next meeting is going to be July 17th.
July 17th at 10 a.m.
We'll send some reminders out.
Any other questions? Comments? All right, need a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Need a motion.
I'll move it.
John motion, Ed seconds, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
It's pretty good, Jeff. Keep it rolling, Jeff. I know.
You can do that.